thank you for taking the time to download and listen to this podcast from Celtic Underground. You are possibly picking this up on thecelticunderground.substack.com. If you are a paid subscriber, you can link your account to wherever you pick up your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever, and you can pick up the subscription feed where you get your normal feed. Just go on to Substack on the website and follow the instructions. Meantime, this is Andrew H. Smith in conversation.
Hi, welcome to Celtic Underground, and I've been really blessed in this podcast to have so many good eggs, and here's another one I can add to the box. Brian and Neil, great to have you.
How you doing, Andrew? Good to see you.
Good, and thanks very much for making the time for us.
No worries.
And it's kind of weird, kind of thinking back now. I started in November '89 at the View, the glory years, and there was one of the players I was looking forward to seeing because we'd heard the name, and it was your name because '89 had been such a big year for you with the under-16s. Now, subsequently, when I got to know you, I think that didn't sit lightly with you, that kind of expectation about where you were going to go, and people just assumed, you had the old new Paul McStay and all that because you're a midfielder and everything, eh? Mm-hmm. Wasn't it easy for you?
No, it wasn't. I think it was, what was the thing about the whole with the under-16 World Cup? It was, we went from nobody knowing who we were to all of a sudden we were everywhere, It was, we were front pages of the newspapers and stuff, all through that tournament. And obviously I missed the penalties in the final, and I'd scored in the semi-final, scored the
semi-final,
and then
missed Portugal and all that. That's when it really took off, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. I think we played at Tynecastle, and there was 29,000 there. There was loads of fans outside, so it was nuts for under 16s. But I don't think anybody really expected us to get close. So we ended up in the final. It was our beating Portugal, which was that was their golden era of players. When it was Figo and Rui Costa, there was all sorts of guys in their team.
Who were you up against? Can you remember?
I can't remember actually. It's funny. Every now and then you go through it all, and you just to reminisce, because you think, I'm pretty sure I see some guys who were playing sort of when I was playing, and they're like, I'm pretty sure he was in that squad.
Yeah,
he was in the
squad. Their managers now.
It was, So it's funny because you get. I actually played with Claudio Reyna at Wolfsburg.
Oh yeah,
I played with him, and I didn't know he was in the US squad. The US
right.
He was in it at that time as well. So, and then right after that World Cup, we actually went to America with Celtic Boys Club and played against a few of the guys who'd been in the American squad in the local teams, because it was kind of Carney, New Jersey.
Oh yeah,
a bit of the hotbed for the US football then back then. But it was funny. I was just going to say, because it was when we went from actually being quite big news, and then you go right back into Celtic Park, you're in the reserve team, or you're even in the reserve team. When we're just getting started and just doing all the boots and all that, So you're right at the bottom again, So it was. But yeah, I just took it as it was just a nice experience, It was a shame we couldn't have won it, but yeah, I got sort of off the back of that as well. I then had sort of interests from other teams at that time. So Arsenal, actually, there was a lot of contact with Arsenal, and Celtic had the contact with Arsenal as well. But I wasn't interested. I just sort of got settled in with Celtic and signed my contract, and that was it.
And what I always admired about you, and this is a recent thing, I think I did you. I spoke to you for 30 years on for that 1989 under-16 final. And there was a lot of stuff come out, especially on Twitter and all that, about how the reality you were playing guys in their 20s and all this kind of stuff. And you set yourself apart for that, which, as I say, my complete admiration for the kind of xenophobia, because you said there's no way these guys were under 16. They just develop at different cultures and different kind of climates. People develop at a different kind of different ways and different stages, and so it's no unusual kind of sub-Saharan kind of young boys to have kind of facial hair and such, like, you know, it was all this kind of stuff. You said you never bought into all those conspiracy theories, which I always admired you for.
Yeah, and I never really had that thing. If we were 16, we had some lads who were really mature. I mean, if you look at Gary Boland, I remember Gary Boland. Bobo was a year younger than us. He was actually he was playing a year up. Gary Boland had the full hairy chest and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was younger than us.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like people, young men, they mature at different ages. But the one thing that you can be sure of is if you do go to the kind of sub-Saharan countries, they've usually get more facial hairs than us.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things. No, so I never really thought anything of it. It was there to win. We didn't. If I'd scored the penalty kick, we would probably have won it, but we didn't, and then they won in penalties. So, no.
Yeah,
That's what it is, Andrew.
I know. And then one of the kind of postscripts to that was when I was doing the 30 years on, 3 of their team went on to play professionally, and I went right through, traced their complete careers. So traced. Now, unless these guys decided to lie about their date of birth for the rest of their lives, I found the 3 date of births, and they were roughly round about all the same date of births that you guys had on your side. So the only 3 that we can check in the sense of, because they had decent kind of professional careers, they all check out. So if anybody's...
I think the goalkeeper went on to have over 100 caps, didn't he? I think
he did, aye.
National team.
He did.
Yeah. So there you go. I've played a good part in getting him started.
Yeah. And it was like, because you missed a penalty in kind of the second half, and then you missed one in the shootout kind of thing. Couldn't have been easy for you.
The shootout one was funny though, because it was like, I remember Craig was an awful one. Craig Brown was an awful one. Even if guys had scored a penalty in a game, he'd want somebody else to take the next penalty.
Right.
He always did that. Even I remember even being part of the national team squad and still being the same mentality. So I really did not want to be anywhere near it. But when it came to the shootout, they'd had the 5. And it's like we're all standing there. He's going to take the next one. He's going to take. And me being thinking stupid me went, I'll do it. You know, just thought, I'll try the next one. And it was a terrible penalty. It was an absolutely hopeless penalty.
And what was it like coming back? You say it was coming back, starting again, I suppose. You got a wee bit of kind of a tasty kind of the kind of profile or whatever, and then you have to kind of start from scratch once you get to Celtic.
Actually, remember we had that game on the Saturday, and then I was away at 7 o'clock the following morning with Celtic Boys Club and went to America for three weeks.
Right. Maybe that was no bad thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad thing, probably. Yeah, and then right off the back of that, we were then right back into pre-season training at Celtic with Bobby, and Jesus, Bobby's pre-season. My goodness. I remember my first pre-season. So I started when I was 15, nearly 16, and my first pre-season, the first day we went to Queen's Park, and oh my God, it was coming at both ends. I did not know what to do. My body was it was so difficult up those hills at Queen's Park. Even the warm-up I found quite difficult, and then you're doing it and I'm like, I can't do this. It was just hard. Honestly, it was so we're in the hills at Queen's Park in the morning, where, as I said, my body just did not know what was happening. I had to go to the bowling club that was down the bottom of the hill, because it was like my body was like, right, it was coming out of both ends almost, you know, really bad. And of course, they try to be nice to you a wee bit, you know what I mean? But then it's a bit like, get on with it, you know?
Yeah.
And then we went in the afternoon, we went to Strackley Park in the afternoon. Did the run down Strackley Park. We completed it, and then it was like, right, I'm thinking that's it done. Then we're away doing sprints, and then we went back round the other way. So I'm getting my bus home that day. I'm getting my bus home and get the bus into Parkhead into Glasgow, the city centre. Then the bus back to Erskine. I fell asleep in my bus. I missed my stop. I'm like Port Glasgow.
I've done that a few times.
And then I had to get. So I stayed on the bus, went round, got off at Erskine. Must have get back in about 6:30. I went to bed. Woke up next day and I was like, I can't do this. And honestly, my body was just every single bit of my body was just in bits.
And it was, Bobby could probably still do the running.
It was a real shock. There was a real shock to the system. But it was funny. You get through it, and then you start that season. I was absolutely flying because you're fit as anything. It's like